He was Bobby Leonard's assistant, and so he was still on there, and he was in the front office with Nancy as they were turning this thing over to the new owner. And I called him up, and he was the guy actually running this camp or deciding who was going to be there. He said, "Oh man, you want to come?" He goes, "You're just what we're looking for. Somebody that people know around here." And and I'm thinking, well, this is just a publicity stunt helping them out or whatever. But he said, "No." He said, "Our draft choices will be there." He said, "We're going to have a 2-day deal." He goes, "Yeah, please come." He goes, "You're in shape, right?" And by that point, I wasn't in that good of shape by the end of the spring. I said, "Yeah, I'm in shape." We go to Butler Fieldhouse for this little Walter Mitty camp. 90 degrees, 90 some humidity. I mean, you're sweating through your shoes. I mean, guys were almost falling down. The court was so wet and stuff. So we go through a double sessions, and Jack McKinney calls us all in the middle of the court. Everybody sit down. So there's like 20 of us or 25 of us, and we sit down. And all I'm doing is sitting there thinking, there's no way I'm coming back tomorrow. I'm dead. I can't. I was dead tired. And McKinney said, "All right, guys." He goes, "You guys really worked hard today. Appreciate y'all coming." He goes, I'm going to call out some guys' names, and you guys will come back for rookie camp." And he goes, we're calling tomorrow off. He goes, we're not coming back tomorrow, but here's the guys that will be invited back to rookie camp. And I was one of the guys that was invited back to then. So that started off a whole summer of hoops I jumped through. Then I went to rookie camp. Then I got invited to go out and play in the LA Summer League. It only took 5 of us. Here's a good story for you. I mean, I got so many stories. I go out there, and they pick up 5 guys out on the West Coast because the Pacers didn't have any money. I mean, they were in bad shape, so they didn't want to send a whole bunch of guys out there and spend all that money for. It was about a week and a half, 2-week camp. So the guy they got to coach our team was Walt Hazard. Walt was the old UCLA and NBA player, but he changed his name to Abdul Rahman. And so he changed his name to a Muslim name. And so they called me up at the hotel and they said, you know the offense that we're running in camps and stuff. I go, yeah. He go, well, you teach it to Coach Rahman. He's going to come to your room tomorrow, and you show him the offense. And so basically, I was a player coach of our summer league team, and he comes to my room, and I liked the guy. He was a good guy, and but he was given an impossible task. He didn't know who these other guys were that came in and joined us and stuff. So it was a crazy summer league. So I go through that, and then they invite 5 of us to come to the veteran camp, and I was the last guy to make the team in veteran camp. Then is how that was my whole summer of getting on the Pacers.
And it was a rough ride at first, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then we had I was a backup point guard, really wasn't quite ready yet. I had a couple decent games, a couple not so good games. We go out early in the year. It was election night. Ronald Reagan got elected in 1980, and we're out in Vegas, and not in Vegas, in Phoenix. And George McGinnis said, "Hey," he goes, "Have you ever met Don Boozy?" I go, "Nope, never met him." And they were real close because they played together in the ABA. He goes, "Well, I'm going out with him tonight to eat." He goes, "You're coming with me." So I go out with those 2 guys. And then unbeknownst to me, in about 8 or 9 days after that, the Pacers traded for Boozy. And so he came to the team. So now it's myself and another rookie. I'm going to think of his name in a minute. His brother played for the Denver Nuggets. I'll think of it in a second. Great guy. But we knew one of us was getting cut. The evening news the night before, well, it's either going to be Sichting or I can't believe I can't think of his name right now. Kenny Nat, and his brother was Calvin Nat. So Kenny and we come in, and the next day was picture day. So I come into the locker room, and they're making a picture day because Boozy is there. He comes in, and they're all putting on the uniforms for pictures. And Kenny and I put our uniforms on for picture, but I knew sitting there, one of us is not getting our picture taken today. They're going to come in at some point. And so George Irvin, the assistant coach, finally comes into the locker room, says, Kenny, come here a minute. And that's how I knew I made the team then. When he called Kenny out, they they cut him. And and I was ticked. I was mad. I almost wanted to go in there with that. Kenny, why'd you make him come in here like this in front of the team? I mean, I wouldn't have wanted it. I mean, I don't know how he dealt with it when he got in there, but I go, this is rough business here. So,
Wow.
but that's the way it goes.
Well, welcome to the NBA.
Yeah, exactly.
And you probably had your share of that too during your career.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, even the year before. So, when I got cut, I felt like I didn't get the right chance. At least play me in a couple exhibition games. In inter squad games, I was matched up with John Lucas, who was out there. He was having his problems off the court and stuff, but and they had a big write up of me in paper. I had 20 some points matched up with them in the game up and down again. And, but I didn't get in any exhibition games. So when I went out, I coached at the Golden State Warriors in 2010, 2011, 1 year.
With Keith Smart, right?
Pardon me?
With Keith Smart, right?
Yeah, Keith Smart was the head coach, and Al Attles was still employed. Al Attles was Franklin Muley, the old owner for the Warriors back in the heyday when they had Rick Barry and all those guys. Al Attles was the guard. I mean, tough guy, real deep voice, tough guy, and he was the coach. And when I go out there, when Franklin sold the team, he said, "You got to keep Al Attles." That was part of the deal. Al Attles got a lifetime job here. He's the guy. He's Mr. Warrior. So Al comes out to the practice court. Keith Smart. I'm talking with Keith. I see Al walking out. I go, "Oh." All right, Coach, how you doing? I go, Coach, you got to tell me. I go, why did you cut me? Why did you cut me that year? I said, I was playing pretty good. What? He goes, why did I cut you? He goes, I didn't cut you. You cut yourself. I mean, I had no comeback for that. It's so funny. But when you're a coach, you learn to have those kind of comebacks because it's a rough business for them too. They don't want to cut guys but it's all part of it.
And Jerry, what if you had to pick a favorite year that has the best memories or favorite season in your life? What year and what team would it have been?
Oh, well, that's pretty easy. That was the 85, 86 team with the Celtics. That was like a movie. I mean, it was incredible. It's one of those years we win the championship, and then you got beer all over your head, you got a cigar in your mouth, go into the training room, get away from all the madness a little bit, and you're sitting there and you go, damn, it's over. Because that's the thing about a great year. It's the journey, and once you win it, but those guys, and then it hit me even more later because I never played on another championship team. Those guys, it's that had a couple rings, McHale, Ainge, those guys, they had a couple rings, whatever. It might not have felt quite the same to them, but and then shortly after that, I mean, a week and a half after we won the championship, it was Len Bias died, our draft choice. And then that started this, right off the bat. I mean, everything went our way that year. Then the next season, Walton gets hurt, McHale gets hurt in the playoffs. I mean, if we would have had a healthy Len Bias, we could have won 3 more in a row pretty easy, really, because he was going to be incredible. I mean, he would have been the closest thing to Jordan in that era that Jordan was. I mean, he had this almost the same athletic ability. He was a better shooter early on in college. He was, and could defend. Jordan could defend. Bias could do it. He could play 4 positions. So McHale, Bird, and all those guys their minutes would have went way down, and they just started getting worn out because they'd been to the finals like 4 out of 5 years, 5 out of 6 years, whatever it was. And man, that's 2 extra months of basketball that the rest of the guys aren't playing. That just takes its toll after a while. So, but that's
Who were you playing for when you got the idea? You know what? I think I want to coach the game.
Well, after I retired, it was still in my mind. I actually I did some.
By the way, was your last shot a 3-pointer?
No, I don't think so. No, no, no. I don't think so. My last game,
Was the
that's
Bucks?
yeah, my last game played against Jordan, and I was with Charlotte all year. I had a sore foot. They come to me, they wanted to put me on the injured list to bring because I was, it was towards the end of the year. We weren't going to be in the playoffs. They said we want to look at this other guy that's on the injured list or whatever. But I wanted to play, and if I played a few more games, I got a little more money for my shoe contract too. So I said, no, I don't want to, and they couldn't put you on the injured list unless you were hurt. I mean, if you appealed to the league, they would say you got to waive him. You can't do that. You can't just put him down there. And I knew I was a player rep, and I knew what to. And I talked to my agent briefly. I said they want to put me on the injured list. I don't really want to go. He goes, well, tell them to waive you. He said I think somebody else will pick you up, and somebody else did, and that was the Bucks. But then after I played that game in Chicago, next day I couldn't walk, and my foot. We did an MRI. My foot had been broke for a little while. So that was my last game. I don't think my last shot was a 3-pointer though.
Well, you scored 3 points in that game, but I was just, maybe it was a free
I
throw. I
might
don't
have
know.
missed a free throw, which I
And
didn't do
one.
too often. Yeah, yeah. I don't know, but yeah, I thought I was when I went up there. They had a couple guys hurt, and so I flew up there the day of the game. Had a meeting with one of the assistant coaches, Frank Hamlin, who's an Indiana guy from Terre Haute, longtime NBA assistant. He goes over some stuff with me. Then I go outside. The weather wasn't too bad. It was late in the year in Chicago, and I hadn't done much for 2 or 3 days, so I wanted to get my lungs going. So I ran about a mile and a half, and blow it out. I said, I'll be fine. Played 12, 15 minutes tonight. They played me like 35 minutes, and that's what kind of did the number on my sore foot, which was broken. I didn't really know it, but um, no, that was my last game. Then coaching wise,
I
the first guy
apologize
I
for
really
interrupting, by the
approached
way.
was Gene Cady. So I got to where I was doing radio for the Celtics, but I wanted to coach. And I Gene Cady, I had 4 kids at the time. He goes, yeah. He goes, I got a grad assistant spot I could probably use you at. I go, what's that? I asked him what I paid. It was like $17,000. I go, Coach, I tell you what, I don't mind starting at the bottom. I don't want, and I don't want you to fire anybody to hire me. The guys you got are good. I said, but I just can't do. I'm making this amount, doing broadcasting with 4 kids. I just can't do it right now. If something happens and one of the other jobs opens up, or so that didn't work out. He was real nice about it, and everything. So then I interviewed for 2 or 3 CBA head jobs a couple times, and the one that I was offered was in Mexico City. The NBA was putting a CBA team in Mexico City, and so the guy's name was Doug Logan. He was a big Wigan AEU basketball at the time and stuff. And when he contacted me, he was giving me the spiel. Yeah, the NBA, this is going to be the next franchise. He goes, we're going to be on the bottom floor. We're going to be on the bottom floor of the new NBA. And so it all sounded kind of nice till I went down there and saw where we were going to be playing. They actually played in the old Olympic Village, but
Oh, from
arena,
68.
when we went yeah, who was on the USA team that year? Was that Spencer Haywood's year? It was still yeah, that was the year that Kareem wouldn't play and those guys wouldn't play. A lot of them boycotted that team.
Yeah.
So the arena wasn't that nice on the outside, but when you open the doors and go in, there was about this much dust everywhere, and there was just junk all over where the court was supposed to be down. So they just use it as a storage facility, I think, ever since the 68 Olympics. I don't think anything had ever happened in there. And so, but then just driving around and I'm having lunch with them and I see these cops shaking down a guy outside the restaurant, Williams. I go, I don't know. I don't know about this. So I didn't take that job, but yeah, actually, I got out of broadcasting when Kevin McHale retired, and we were close friends, and he knew I wanted to get involved with something, and we were always talking basketball anyway. So he hired me as a director of scouting when he took over the Timberwolves. He was out for a year. He kind of served as an assistant general manager. The new owner, Glenn Taylor, who just gave up the team last year, he kind of handpicked McHale. He wanted him to run the franchise, and so then McHale hired Flip Saunders as a general manager and me as the director of scouting. And that's how we got to the Timberwolves. And then we ended up on the bench shortly after that.
I know you coached in the NBA for 25 years, but it actually, in looking through and doing research, it looks like you had your most fun with the Timberwolves.
Yeah, it was good. Those guys were great to work with. When we were all they had the big press conference when they hired us, and we were the new front office and everything. We were in our 30s. I was like 37 or 8, and so was Kevin and Flip. So they handed the keys to some pretty young guys. Our first draft choice was Kevin Garnett. We took a lot of heat around the league. Everybody said we didn't know what we were doing. Nobody had taken a high school guy for 20 years since not Moses. Daryl Dawkins, I think, was a year after Moses. Nobody taken a high school guy since then, but I'd seen him play a couple times, and then we had a private workout with him. And his agent was saying he'll never come there. You can draft him, but you're going to have to trade him and all that. But we called their bluff, and obviously he turned the Timberwolf franchise around. And yeah, we got one of my last years there, we had the best team in the league probably, and Sam Cassell got hurt in the final play of the second round against the Kings. He hurt his back, and so then we have to play the Lake. We were the number 1 seed over Kobe and Shaq that year. We really built a nice team up, and Sam doesn't play. We lose to them, and in 6 games, and then they went and played Detroit that year. That's the year of Chauncey Billups and all those guys. We had beaten Detroit badly both times. We only played the other conference once, home and away. We beat them 20 both places. I think they couldn't match up with us. So if we could have got by the Lakers, I think that was probably the closest we were going to come to winning
it. Jerry, how do you correct people on the pronunciation of your last name? And do you have any stories behind that?
No, the easiest way that I've always done is I say it rhymes with bee sting. You get stung by a bee, and so it's Sichting. But I've had guys go up, the little stuff you do to bust each other's chops. Guys go up to the announcer before the game in warmups or something and tell them to call, pronounce it a different way or whatever. I've heard it all, but yeah, especially early when I was in college and high school. Yeah, they butchered it. They butchered it pretty good. So
well, don't feel bad, because last night I had to go to YouTube, and yeah, it was the game against the Lakers where you were on fire, absolute fire, and I think Magic hits the last second shot, and I just wanted to verify that I was saying it correctly myself.
Yeah, it rhymes with bee sting. Yeah, and the funny thing, it's such a weird name. I've most people I know that I meet that have any kind of German background to speak German, and I'll ask them. And there's so many dialects of German. Very rarely do they even say it the right way. I mean, they say it differently depending on what part of the German that they are. I mean, I've even asked Dirk Nowitzki, and I think he pronounced it more of a Z sound at the start. Sichting, I think, is how he kind of, but our family Americanized it, that's through the pronunciation. So it's not like how they would say it over there, I don't think.
And let's stay in English class and talk about everybody in your family's name starts with a J.
Yeah, I got a good joke for that one too. Yeah, it started, and then I wish now I hadn't done it, but it really hit me when I was in a golf tournament, and a lot of those Celtic guys were there in Vegas. We're at the Sands. We is a charity deal, and we get a table, and George Carlin is the comedian. We go to see George Carlin, so we got about 5 or 6 guys, and he starts out one of his second or third bits that he does. He's such a funny guy and a great smart comedian. He goes, "Hey," he goes, "today, this would have been like in the 90s, early 90s. He goes, "Hey," he goes, "is it just me?" Or he goes, what's up with all these yuppies these days naming their kids the same letter all the time?" And like everybody at the table turned around and just looked at me. I got guilty as charged. So we named our dog Baron, though. It wasn't everybody, but yeah, they all got J's.
And was Barron after Barron Hill at Seymour?
No. I remember him though. He was one of my, I was in junior high or so when he came around. Yeah, he was. Have you met him? Do you know him?
I actually, in the first couple of years I did this show, he came on. Of course, he was in the political field. And he kind of used that as a little bit of a advantage, but that's fine too. But he's a very nice guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The one thing that, I've looked through everything and researched a lot of stuff, and I know I've kept you long. The one thing I didn't look up, read on, or anything, and I'd like to hear from you was, you know, Ralph Sampson. And you knew that was coming, probably.
No, I kind of forgot it, and I didn't forget about it, but that was just a weird thing. He kind of snapped. I was never one to shy away from big guys from the standpoint. My very first play, before I tell my very first play in the NBA, Pacers, we play at New Jersey. They got a guy on their team named Maurice Lucas, who was one of the big enforcers in the league. Jack McKinney's offense, you'd pass to the forward on the as I come down on the right side of the floor facing the basket pass, and then I have to go down and set a pick on the opposite block, opposite side of the lane on the other forward that was going to come up and then reverse the ball. So I go down to set this pick, and Maurice Lucas, bam, right in my throat, put me down. They call it, they don't kick him out, just a regular foul. Go to the line. I could hardly breathe. I think I missed both of them. So I start whatever my career free throw percentage is. It should be two more makes on that because I couldn't even breathe. But so I never backed down from blocking a big guy out, setting a pick. I used to get Bird open so many times. We'd run this play where he and I would circle underneath the basket, and then McHale, Chief, or two big guys, Walton, would be kind of on the blocks, and I set a back pick on his guy. John Stockton used to do a lot. So you get up and you just get down low into the big, and you could set a better pick than a big guy can set on a big. So anyway, Sampson's coming down the floor, game 5. And it was a fast break. And so as the guy's coming in, I come over, he's coming right down the middle of court, and I come over and block him out. And he just comes down with his forearm right on the back of my neck. And, he hits me, and I turned around, started walking up, walked up, and he just swung. I mean, he just sucker punched. So the bad thing about the thing I regret about the whole thing is it turned the whole game around. We were kind of controlling that game. We were going to win the championship that night, and the crowd went nuts. The referees, they gave them every call after that after they kicked it out, and even the announcers. I think it was Dick Stockton and I think Heinsohn, my buddy Tommy Heinsohn, was doing the game, and he said he was talking about, if you listen to the replay of the game, well, that's not a very good trade-off for Houston to lose their guy, and he goes, this team doesn't even get kicked out. Well, I didn't do anything. I retaliated a little bit, but not I didn't get any licks in on him, but that's what happened. And I've never talked to him. I know some people that know him. Rick Carlisle played with him in college and everything, but just one of those things that happened. I got another altercations here and there, but that was the one everybody remembers. There's actually I get people send me trading cards all the time to sign. I probably get 12 or 15 a week at least. They got these. They have to have chat rooms and websites. Everybody in the country knows my address, but um, um, this guy sent me he sent me a card about a month and a half ago, and it was a double card. I think on the top is McHale clotheslining Rambus, and you can barely see Rambus's face. It's right when he's got his forearm on his neck on the fast break. Then on the bottom of it is me going like this with Sampson throwing the punch, and the top of it said greatest NBA playoff fights or something like that. And I'm going, where this has got to be on the black market or something. Nobody who's agreeing to make these cards. So I write the guy back when they ask me, I never answer any questions. I just sign the cards and send them back. So I write the guy back. I go, where did you get this? I looked on the back of it. I didn't see anything that said NBA licensed or any emblem of NBA or anything on it, but it was made in St. Louis. Where they put that on there and maybe the name of the company. And so I write the guy back. I go, where did you get this? I said, do you have any more of these? Can you get it? And so he sent me a little box about all kind of different things. And one of them was that, and I told you I texted Ainge a couple of weeks ago. So one of the ones he sent me was me as a pacer getting ready to go up for a jump shot, and Ainge is guarding me. And the top of the card says, "In your face, Ainge." So I took a picture of the card and I sent it to Danny. I said, "Man," I said, they're making all kind of cards these days. So anyway, that's the Samson fight in a nutshell. The thing that happened though, what it did, our team was so mad. So this was a Friday night game. We fly back to Boston on Saturday morning. KC sends us straight to the Boston Garden. We're going to practice. And so I think he just wanted to get a feel of, you know, what our mindset was and everything. We go out there to practice. We warm up just a little bit. So he gets us in a half court live action. Just we weren't going up and down because he didn't want to hurt our legs. We're playing at afternoon the next day for game 6. That practice was so intense. I mean, all our guys were wanting to fight. We were wanting to fight each other. So, we did this for about 5 or 10 minutes, and he got practice over, go. He knew we were ready to come out. We blew him off the court the next day. But that's what I remember is how that affected us. I don't know. I just felt we kind of got robbed that game because of what happened. I mean, the crowd, it was kind of scary crowd type stuff. I wouldn't have been surprised for people to come out on the court. And even the cops came out when the fight happened. I got grabbed behind the neck by like a sheriff. The cops came out. Usually in NBA fights, the police don't come out on the courts or anything. But this cowboy came out and got me around the neck. And so when I'm leaving, I see him. When I'm going to the bus after the game's already over. I'm still hot. I go up to him. I go, you shouldn't have done that. I go, somebody, you didn't know what was going to happen. I could have got cracked with you holding my arms back and stuff. I go, you break a fight by getting in front, especially you got a badge. I said, I don't know. I almost got in a fight with him.
Jerry, how hard is it to get a head coaching job in the NBA?
It's hard. I'm not sure. I interviewed. I took over several times and came back and won a few games. Randy Whitman had a back operation. I won one of those games against Phoenix, who was really good. I lost on the road to Atlanta, who Mike Woodson was coaching, then they were good, and we lost to the Lakers. So those 3 games, I've proven myself that I can do it. I'm not real sure, why I really didn't get at least a chance, because there's a lot of guys that get a chance in the NBA with all the stuff that goes on and players getting fired and stuff like that. But when I was with Minnesota, I know the owner. I know he put it on Kevin. He goes, You're the one that hired Flip. You're the one that hired Randy Whitman. You're not. If you fire him, you're taking over. And so he put it on Kevin. And I think Kevin, he did turn into be a pretty decent coach. By the time he got to the Houston Rockets, they had some good teams down there. And then James Harden laid down on him and got him fired. But I always enjoyed working with Kevin in the front office. We played together. We had a kind of a good relationship. I mean, I would tell him right there, I go, you're wrong, and all this stuff. So, and I think he didn't want yes men around anyway, really, I mean, he wanted to be right, but I never was afraid to voice my opinion. You got to do it in the right way, when you're an assistant coach, and you got to bite your tongue a lot of times. And being a head coach is hard. I mean, it's really hard, and you're going to make mistakes. So, but it's all right. I mean, things happen for a reason.
Jerry, and I imagine you don't respond to some of those because you don't want best friends or stalkers on some of the stuff they mail you, huh?
You don't want what?
Stalkers.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. No, it's I've been to a couple card shows. If you're talking about people knowing the address and stuff like that, I've been to some, and card. I mean, there's all different kind of people in every line of business or whatever, but they're a different breed. I mean, they really get into, and I think what really made this thing blow up was COVID. A lot more people jumped into that because it was something else to do, and I never used to get cards before COVID. I will say that. And the people that come to card shows, they'll drive. Like I did one in Boston a couple years ago, and there were people from Indiana that drove to Boston mostly for the card show. They had all this stuff they wanted me to sign, produce stuff and everything. I mean, it's they put a lot of time, effort, money into what they're doing, and it's kind of interesting. But the ones every once in a while somebody will send me. I don't mind one or two cards, but when they send a whole pack or something like that, I have a problem with that because you got to go to a card show, so I get paid for all those, man. You know what? I read a book about Joe DiMaggio one time, and the last year of his life, true story in the book, last year of his life, he was making more money than any active player in Major League Baseball by signing stuff. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy business, and there's a lot of money in it.
Yeah. Jerry, what do you think? One last question. What do you think the biggest difference is in the Indiana high school basketball game, the college basketball game, and the pro game today than what you remember?
It's it's night and day, but that happens. Everything in the world changes, right? And nothing's going to stay the same. Sports is definitely one of those things that's included. The NBA, obviously, the money is just astronomical, but it's changed more. I'll start from the top and go down. The NBA is changed into more of an entertainment than a competition. I mean, and pro sports has to be both. Pro sports has to be both. And you have to have, it's got to be a socialized system in a way, because every team has to stay viable and has to stay in business, right? So you got to share revenue, you got to do all that. But the players themselves and the commissioners and the companies that pay these players to endorse stuff and everything, these guys have all become such good friends and stuff. It's, to me, it's more like before the games and stuff, it's more like a WWE locker room where they're all buddies inside and then they go out and put on a show. I don't know. I don't know if it's a win at all costs like it used to be. I mean, I know that they're all trying to win, especially when it gets in the playoffs and down the line. But a lot of time, I mean, when I see that, there's just way more fraternizing and everything. And they all got cell phones that they can talk to each other all the time. None of that stuff was going on when I was playing. If we saw the Lakers in the summertime or anywhere, if we saw one of them burning in the gutter, we wouldn't go over and throw water on them. I mean, it was they weren't your friends, but it's so totally different now. College, now college is all about money too. And it's, I hope it doesn't get ruined. I always thought college players should get paid. I always thought they should be making some money. I'm not sure that the NCAA, they're so gun shy with all these lawsuits, if they really have the answer to any of this. Now they're coming out this year and they're calling it revenue sharing. They're not using the word cap because they probably get taken back to court again if they say they got a cap. To have a cap, you have to have a collective bargaining agreement with your players. And they don't want to do that either, because that means they can say, we got to stay in better hotels, we got to do this, we got to do that. So this is a fine line that they're walking as far as that goes. But this revenue sharing thing, to me, maybe I'm a cynic, all that's going to do. So if the top programs, we all know the names of them that have always paid players under the table, that's all that's going to happen now. You can call it a cap, revenue sharing, whatever you do. But if you're going to put a cap on it, they're not going to pay the same. They're going to get the best player somehow. It's just going to be cash under the table. That's what I look at it. Well, why would it not? How are you going to stop it? You couldn't stop it back then. This isn't going to stop it. So but the good thing about it, I will say this, the good thing about it, guys are making money, so they're staying in college a little longer. I thought the Final Four last year was the best Final Four we've had in a long time. The level of play, because instead of having a team with 4 freshmen and they're out there and they can't quite do it. These guys are pretty hardened and even though they hadn't played together for a long time, I thought the quality of play in the Final Four last year was way better than it's been for a few years. And high school, I mean, I'll just mostly I know Indiana high school basketball. The thing that has changed since I played, we had 4 or 5 channels on our TV. There was no girls sports was just starting when I graduated from high school. Judy Warren was the first Miss Basketball. I think she was 74 or 5. I graduated in 75. Everything is, I'm not saying the players are still really good. The players are good, but it's not. They're not filling up the gyms like they did last year. I had to get on. You can't watch it on live TV unless you get on. You got to pay to view. And I did watch the game last year because it was. I've always had an affinity towards Jeffersonville, Indiana, and their high school program. A buddy of mine when I was in high school moved to Jeffersonville, and he knew Mike Flynn, and so that's when I met Mike Flynn when I was a junior. I went down there and went around to a lot of the gyms and stuff and played with him, and so I watched that game last year. So the Indiana basketball is still good players. A lot of the top guys, though, they don't even care about being Mr. Basketball. They go to prep school. The All-Star team, the All-Star games is totally different. They play Friday and a Saturday night. In Kentucky, they might get 2,000 fans. Freedom Hall, you couldn't get in Freedom Hall unless you had a ticket early, back when we played. They built Market Square Arena, Butler Fieldhouse, Assembly Hall, whatever. Wherever the All-Star games was, it would be packed, both places way back then. So that's what's changed, even though, they're good players and stuff. I think Indiana should play a different state, but right at this point, it wouldn't matter because all these kids, the colleges want them to get to campus, take the summer school. Nobody went to summer school and stuff when I played, very rarely. They want to get in there, get 3 or 4 classes under their belt, get that. So they only have to take maybe a couple classes in the fall and be in the gym a lot more and all that stuff. So it's all changed, but a lot of it for the good, some of it not.
So are you retired, and what does Jerry Sichting do in retirement?
Don't do a heck of a lot. I got involved. I got involved with some apartments. I don't have to work. And I play golf. We travel. We don't go on too many vacations, even right now, anyway. But we go see our kids and grandkids. I've got 4 kids scattered around the country, and I've got 2 of them are married, 2 of them aren't. The 2, my daughter and my second son have 2 kids, so we go and see our grandkids and stuff like that. So I follow sports. I mean, I do. I follow golf. I follow football. I follow all sports. I mean,
You're going to push the grandkids to play hoops?
I've got one grandkid in Minnesota that's he's a little prodigy baseball player. I don't know. He may, and his dad's not very big, but his dad was a good athlete. I may try to push him to stay in baseball, maybe. But he does like to play basketball. He does like basketball. My other one, I don't know where he got it. He just turned 4. I was just in Texas a week and a half ago. He just turned 4. He's reading. I'm not talking about Tom runs fast or Tom has a dog. He's sounding out the words on his birthday cards. He can read. I mean, I didn't learn to read till I was like a freshman in high school. It's just amazing. His dad's smart. My daughter's pretty smart, but I don't know. They started out working with him on letters and stuff when he was really young, but I was just amazed when I saw him do that. But so he might own a team one day.
Jerry, it looks like your Purdue Boilermakers are going to have a very fine squad this year. Do you think they can finally get the monkey off their back?
I hope so. I'm a pessimist in the off season, but this year I'm not. I think they've got everything they really need. You just have to stay healthy. That's the big X factor. But they've got a deep team. They've got a good team, and I think they've learned how to handle winning a little bit better last year than they have in the past. And pro teams are the same way. That's one of the hardest thing as a coach is to get your guys to not take a deep breath and back off and feel like we just got to go out there tonight. We're going to win. You got to have a little bit of an edge every time you go out on the court if you're really going to compete at your best. And teams that they're so and they win 2 or 3 games in a row. I mean, I could almost sense it when I was a coach that there were, in the shoot around or the meeting that day, we're going to get it tonight because we're not ready. And so, but I think Purdue a lot of times, and Matt's changed. I've talked to Matt. I used to talk to him a lot more than I do now. But one of my last conversations with, we kind of peak. We peak early. We have for a while, and I think he's gotten away with that a little bit last year, and I think this year will be the same. He's gonna try to peak it at the end. We've been ranked really high the last 2 or 3 years. Early in the season, November, we've been the best team in the country in November. Well, you want to be the best team in March and April is where you want to be. And so some of the conversations I've had with them, it's a long season. College is a long season anymore, not just the NBA. And but with the depth that we have, we should be fairly. I mean, if he substitutes and everybody can contribute, we should be pretty fresh, you know, by tournament time. So, got my fingers crossed.
Jerry Sichting, this is the longest. This is an hour and a half. This is the longest show I've
Is
ever
it?
done. I am so sorry for keeping you.
I'm
But I also
long-winded. I'm
think you
sorry.
kind of enjoyed talking to me.
Yeah, no, I can get long-winded. Yeah, people get tired of me pretty quickly. You probably won't be having me on any more podcasts now, but it's fun talking to you. It's nice, getting to know you a little bit the last few weeks too. So thank you for the pictures and everything else. Appreciate it.
You're quite welcome.
All right.